Hey guys, thanks for watching. Today's video is going to be book reviews, and I realized that I've been totally slacking on sharing my reviews with you. The review video I did was my June reading list wrap up, and so I just didn't post anything for July because, you know, that's what I did. I have a lot of books to talk about. I'm not sure how many I'm going to get through. I'm just going to start from where I left off from June's video and see how many I can fit in. So probably not going to go into a whole lot of depth into each review just because I want to get as many out there as I can to share with you guys. But all of my full reviews are on Chicklet Plus. Their Amazon links will be below to every book I talk about, plus the review link to Chicklet Plus if you want to check them out, if any catch your eye. So if you would like to see my very late book review video for my July wrap up, maybe into August, probably just going to be July. But you just keep on watching. Okay, the first one I have to talk about is Cocktails at Le Carmen, and this is by Isabelle Andover. And this one, I really liked it because I love books that are set in like Paris and that sort of thing. I don't know, for some reason they just give me more of like a chick lit feel when we have that going on, and that's exactly what this one was about. It was also, I read it so fast. I remember I was getting ready to go on a vacation when I started reading this book, and I thought, this is going to be the perfect vacation read. I started reading it before we left, and I had it done in like 2 days, so I actually didn't even get to take it on vacation with me because it read so quickly. So I ended up really enjoying it. My Surface is trying to restart itself. No, we are just starting this video. Give me a little bit of time. Big summer read. I know we're getting to the end of summer, but if you're still looking for some chick lit to add to your collection, go check this one out. Okay, the next one that I reviewed was The Knockoff by Lucy Sykes and Joe Piazza. I won't get into this one too much because I did mention it in my July book favorites video. I'm fairly positive, so I will go ahead and link that one below instead, but absolutely loved it. I mean, 5 stars all the way. I definitely recommend it for chick lit, for women's fiction. If you're a fan of something like The Devil Wears Prada, this one is being coined as being really similar to that, and I just hands down loved it. The next one I have is Summer Secrets, and this is by Jane Green. I obviously do have the hardcover copy, but I actually read this one, or I listened to it in the audiobook version. And Jane herself, the author herself, was the narrator for the audiobook, which I thought was really interesting. I like to read audiobooks because I go on long walks with my dog every day, and it just gives me something to be able to do instead of just like blankly staring while we do our walk. So I'm really enjoying listening to the audiobooks recently. I think I mentioned them in my last like lifestyle favorites video, how much I'm absolutely enjoying listening to the audiobooks. For Summer Secrets, I enjoyed it. You can tell by the hardcover that it's, I mean, slightly a bigger book. It's nothing huge like the Jackie Collins's books that I read, but the beginning for me started out pretty slow, and then it seemed like once we got to really exciting parts or parts that made me read the book really fast, then all of a sudden it would change directions really fast and it would slow down again. With audiobooks, I only listen to them when we're taking our walks, so it's not like I'd just be around the house and like pick up a book and start reading. With audiobooks, I don't just pick it up and start listening. I only listen to it on our walks. But I found myself like having trouble getting excited to be able to listen to it, especially when it was in our slower moments, and I'm just like, what's going on? Why do we need to know all this backstory and things like that? Because the actual meat of the story I thought was really good and was exciting and, you know, all that good stuff, but then we had so much backstory, and I just felt like those parts weren't exactly needed and didn't help move the story forward or make it go faster. So I was kind of like on the fence about this one. I'm leaning towards that I liked it because I thought the actual story was really good, the writing was really good, and I enjoyed the narration of the audiobook. Just wish it would have been a little bit quicker of a read. The next one I have is The Art of Adapting, and this is by Cassandra Dunn. And I mentioned in my review, I was so excited to read this one because Cassandra and I actually met via social media. We have the same breed of dog. We both have Vizslas, and that's actually what this little dog on the cover is a Vizsla. The paperback print is a totally different cover than the hardcover copy is, and it features a Vizsla on there as well, which I just absolutely loved. Vizslas have a very small role in the book as well, but it was a big reason when we connected online and she asked if she could send me her book. I said yes because I was so excited to be able to read something that had a Vizsla featured in it, because it's not a very common breed, so you don't hear about that a lot, and of course it has a special place in my heart. It was a really good book. This is Cassandra's debut novel, and I was totally impressed with it being a debut. Like, writing was so good and so thoughtful and so thought-provoking, and I was just so impressed that this was a debut novel. I just thought it was absolutely amazing. You get a lot of different point of views, and I liked that we got all those point of views. Like, we get several characters' POVs, which I thought was interesting, but sometimes I also felt like it kind of slowed the story down a little bit. So it was kind of weird, because at the same time I appreciated it and I got why we were getting all the different POVs, but then at the same time I felt like maybe if we didn't have that much going on, it would have been a faster book. So again, almost kind of like with the Jane Green one, I just wished it would have been faster paced, especially because I did have the hard copy book, and it's so hard for me to read physical editions no matter how much I love paperbacks or hardcover copies. It's so hard for me to read because it's not as easily accessible to read as versus like my Kindle or my phone. So especially when I read something in the physical form of it, I hope they're fast reads, and this one wasn't super quick, but very thought-provoking and very well written, so I did highly enjoy it though. I think I gave it 4 stars on Chick Lit Plus. What I have is The Broken Road, and this is by Melissa Huie. And this was like a romantic suspense novel, and I will say that there's a lot of action in this book. I mean, really from not the first page, but from the beginning of the book, there's a lot of action. It's very fast-paced. There's a lot going on. It was very quick to read, just because it read so quickly. There is a lot of suspense going on. There's a lot of mystery happening, and of course, there's also a lot of romance going on in the book. That's why it's a romantic suspense book. I did feel like the mystery and the suspense and that sort of thing. Did you guys just hear that? A car just like peeled out. I mean, we live in like small town suburbs. There's no reason for that to be happening. Are you kidding me? Jeez. Anyways, God, I'm all flustered now. That scared me. I don't know if you guys can hear that. We have like all of our windows and all of our doors open because it's a really nice day for once here in Iowa, so we're like airing out the house. Sometimes I felt like the suspense and the mystery angle, it was almost like, I don't know if I want to say it was too much, but sometimes it just seemed like it was all too planned out. You knew what was going to happen next, you know, that sort of thing, but nothing that really detracted my enjoyment of reading the book. I still had a really good time reading it, and it was a lot of fun. I believe I gave it another 4-star review on Chick Lit Plus. So yeah, enjoyed it. Next one I have is The Patrons, and this is by Daniella Brodsky. And I think I mentioned this when I featured this in a haul video, that I was really looking forward to reading this because I've read Daniella's books before. She's written, was a Diary of a Working Girl, and it got turned into like a Lifetime movie featuring, I was going to say Lizzie McGuire, featuring Hilary Duff. Hello. I've really enjoyed like her chick lit books. This one was more of a women's fiction, which I've also read that from her, but this one was definitely more serious and, you know, had more of a mature subject line. And I gave it 3 stars on Chick Lit Plus because I had such a hard time connecting with the main character. I just could not get the vibe going with her. I don't know. I just struggled a lot. I mean, yes, we are in different places in our lives, but you know, I read a plethora of books. I read books about moms, about grandmothers, about, you know, people who live in different countries than me, and you know, I read YA. I read about people that are a lot younger than me, and you know, sometimes it really doesn't have to do if our lives are parallel to each other. Just sometimes I just can't connect with the main character, and unfortunately that is what happened in this one, and it really ended up hindering my reading experience. I had a hard time getting through the book. I wasn't excited to pick it up. The plot and the storyline is very interesting. There's also one of like the big subplots was politics in the 2008 election, and that kind of was getting interspersed throughout the way, and I didn't really quite understand why we were getting that either. That made the story lag for me. So unfortunately it wasn't my favorite book, which I was really bummed about because I really do enjoy Daniella and her books, but this one just wasn't for me. I hate when that happens. Next one is Neverending Beginnings, and this is by Mary Chris Escobar, and this one I had so much fun reading. It basically, the main character, it's kind of like Groundhog's Day. The main character keeps repeating a certain week in her life and certain events that are going on. It kind of revolves around a friend's wedding. One of her friends is getting married to actually her ex-boyfriend, so there's kind of like a weird situation happening there. There's some romance thrown in there. We also have a great subplot with the main character's mother who was passed away. But I mean, basically the book is just like on repeat. I mean, we're getting the same week of her life over and over again. And it's interesting to see why she thinks it's happening, what she tries to do about it, the little changes that she tries to make along the way. I don't know. I love these kind of books. I had so much fun reading it. I gave it 4.5 stars on Chicklet Plus, and I just had a great time reading this book and seeing how she was going to get through her time on repeat. And another one I have is The Cake Therapist, and this is by Judith Fertig. And again, I won't go into a whole lot of detail because here comes my dog. Can you hear her? Because I gave it 5 stars, so I did mention it in my July favorites video, which again will be linked below. But I mean, seriously, how cute is this cover? How cute is the back cover? The book is so fabulous, and it has that little bit of the magical realism that I've talked about on here that I love so much. That's included in there as well in a really fun and creative way, and I ended up absolutely loving The Cake Therapist. Next one is The Trouble with Dying, and this is by Maggie LePage. And I remember when I mentioned this in my haul video, I was reading the blurb out loud and I started laughing because it sounded so funny to me. I mean, it follows, the main character is in a coma most of the time, and she's, watching herself from above. She's watching the interactions with her family in there, and she doesn't remember what happened. She doesn't remember the accident that she got into or what happened or why it happened. There's thoughts, people are saying that it was possible suicide. She's trying to figure out, was she really so down that she wanted to take her own life? But at the same time, so that's all very serious stuff. At the same time, it has a total chicklet vibe, and it's funny at times. And when I was reading the blurb, I was like, okay, I'm conflicted because this sounds really serious, but then it sounds really funny at the same time. Like, how can this be? And I thought the two together, they worked so well. Maggie LePage did such a fantastic job writing this. I had a blast reading it. I loved the mystery because I really had no idea what happened. I didn't think she killed herself, but I couldn't figure out who did. And there was a lot of people that I was kind of looking at like, maybe so. And then there's, of course, the twist is thrown in there as well. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I really enjoyed it, and another one that I really, really recommend, especially for summertime. I think it's such a good summer read, so hurry fast. I know I'm cutting it close that I'm recommending summer reads still, but go. So I somehow was able to get through all of July, and I was actually going to keep going and get into August, and then my Surface decided to die. Okay, so that ended it for me because I wouldn't be able to show you any of the other covers. But I really hope you enjoyed the books that I mentioned. I have no idea how many I managed to get through, but I hope you find some on there for your reading list coming up that you want to get. Again, all the Amazon links plus the links to my reviews on Chicklet Plus will be on the box below if you want to check it out. I'll also be sure to link my July book favorites video since I mentioned a few of the titles in that one, so you can see what I said about them too and what books I loved in the month of July. It is so crazy to me that we are almost at we're at the end of August. I mean, we're almost in September. That is so wild. That's so wild. NFL season is coming up. I'm so excited. There's so many exciting things going on in life. My 2-year wedding anniversary is almost here. We celebrate on September 7th. I mean, all kinds of good things going on. Yes, please do give this video a thumbs up if you like seeing the book reviews. Please comment below if you saw any that you know that you're going to be putting on your reading list, or if you've read any of the books. I would love to hear some of your feedback on them. I mentioned this on social media, and I wanted to throw it out there too. Like, usually when I do these review videos, I'm doing a good chunk of books all at once, so I'm not really going into a lot of depth with them. I'm just kind of giving like my brief overall yes or no, type of feedback. But I wondered if, like, for some books, if you guys would want me to do just that book in review video so I can actually go into more detail of it. And I just listened to The Best of Enemies by Jen Lancaster, and I know that was a pretty popular book coming out. Jen Lancaster, was a pretty loved author, and she writes fiction and nonfiction. The Best of Enemies was fiction, which I know, and myself included, some of us tend to gravitate more toward her nonfiction, but I actually ended up really, really loving this book, and so I thought maybe I could do a review video just on that and like really break it down for you guys to let you know what I thought was good and bad about it, if I think you should get it, who I think would enjoy it, that type of thing. What I heard on social media, especially on my Facebook page, is that you guys would want to see something like that, so I wanted to bring it up to you guys here on YouTube. So please comment below if you think you'd like me to start doing that, if there's any books that you think you want me to highlight and that sort of thing. Like I said, I'm thinking of starting with Jen's book just because it's so fresh in my mind. I just got done listening to it, loved it, you know, that sort of thing, and I know it's one that was kind of highly talked about, so thought that would be a good place to start. But if there's anything else that you guys could think of, please just let me know before you leave, and I will just see you guys in my next video. Bye.